The mic seems to be working fine, Bishop. We knew that it's going to disturb you. So we had to switch it off so that he can, because you saw when he was speaking, he was captured by the Spirit. So we had to release you from the mic. Thank you so much. Good morning. Goeiemorgen. The Chief Director, I see that I've rubbed on you. Abshin, Molweni, Dumelang, Sanbonani. What did I miss? Nda. We need to greet in all languages as much as possible. The only one that I'm missing is the sign language, which I'm still practicing. I'll get there. But how do you go about it? Yes. That's how you greet in sign language. It's important that we know this, the 12th language. In fact, before I start, I need to tell you amongst the things that we're doing in our schools. We have a program called Multi-Certification Skills Program. In that program, we're teaching all our grade 5s, all of them, how to communicate in basic sign language. So all our children in the future, they will be able to communicate with each other. So in Gauteng, this is the first. You must clap hands because we are parents in schools in Gauteng. We are the only province that does that. That is actually preparing our children to communicate with each other and really understand each other. So all our grade 5s will be teaching them the basic sign language communication so that they can communicate with their peers, they can communicate with their family members, and so forth. Program Director, Chief Director Makwakwa, the head of department, Mr. Rufus Mutlana, and all the senior managers that we have present here from the Department of Education. Honorable Chair of Chairs, thanks for coming through. I know how you feel about this particular community. It's very dear to him, this particular community. And I must say, he's a staunch advocate in the provincial government across, but mainly he's always saying that you can't leave my constituency behind in every opportunity. You know, one case in point, I always remind this thing, is around when we were dealing with the wardens, the crime prevention wardens. He came and approached provincial government and said, no, the wardens can't be mainly Africans or blacks in particular. He says there's minorities that need to be considered. So you have to create a special dispensation for minorities to also form part of the wardens. And actually we did that. A significant number of wardens now of coloureds, Indians, 2,500 coloureds, Indians and whites are part of wardens. And that's mainly because of the advocacy by our honourable member Adams. So the community must know that. The leadership of provincial commissioners or police, is that Lieutenant Colonel? I always struggle with these titles. Now I know them as station commanders or commissioners, but now the ranks have changed. Lieutenant Colonel, Lieutenant General, somewhere there, Brigadier. But yeah, the leadership of the law enforcement agency that we have here, which are very critical stakeholders, the SGBs, principal, teachers, and parents, and all the various NGOs that really work with the Department of Education or basic education in general. We are recognized and learn organizations. And I see the media is here, members of the media. I think you are a very important stakeholder to really get this message out there of some of the work that we're, interventions that we're doing. I need to firstly express my gratitude to just come to these communities. It's important. This IMBIZO or engagement with yourself, it's long overdue. I remember a few weeks back, there was when they were preparing for this IMBIZO, people were communicating that the IMBIZO is actually taking place. And it signaled to me that the communities, in particular, I know that Cliffspruit West and Eldos, and generally in the South, there's an urgent need to deal with the challenges that are happening in our schools. Today we're discussing school safety. We're discussing the parameters that are enforced by this fence around the schools. But we can't discuss school safety without an understanding that a school is a microcosm of the community. What happens in the community always finds itself in our schools. And I'm going to be a bit controversial, you'll agree with me or not. But children, I don't like to use this thing, but they always say, monkey see, monkey do. Kids will always copy whom they see as role models or elders do, and they'll copy it. There is no child that grows up and says, I'm going to be carrying a weapon to a school, unless there's somebody who's older, who's infusing that mentality in the child. There's no child who grows up and says, I'm going to be a drug dealer, or I'm going to sell drugs in the school, unless there's an elder who's telling that child that you can do that and it's correct. And we have to be honest with those reality, with that reality. In these communities, for instance, they say, for example, the gangsterism. You can't say as a parent, you wake up in the morning, you are greeting your child, and you say, wash. And then you expect the child to get to school and say good morning. The child won't say good morning. He's going to say wash because he had wash at home. And that's the truth of the matter. Our kids are divided because parents and communities are divided. It's a fact. Our kids will align with Faraday or what? Farados and fast guns. Because the parents at home are fast guns or Farados. I'm not saying all parents, by the way, but the communities are divided as such. And kids by nature are vulnerable. They need security. That's why we say they're the most vulnerable groups. And because they're vulnerable, it's easy for them to align with bullies, with gangsters, because they feel that if I'm part of this gang, or I'm friends with this bully, I will not be bullied. So literally these bullies and gangs act as a form of security for our children. They are outside, but they will always find themselves in our schools. There's been a couple of incidences where children were found in possession of very dangerous weapons. Very dangerous weapons. Including a firearm, Honorable Adams. A firearm. In recent cases. I don't want to speak about knives, It seems like it's a normal thing. And that is not normal, parents and community members and SGP. It's not normal. It can't be normal. I'm deliberately saying this because I want us as elders to begin to also shoulder some form of responsibility of what is happening in instances in our own schools. What we are teaching our kids. Because kids, no one is born with a violent, divisive, racially mind, but they are taught over time by those that are dear to them, who are close to them. And in most cases, it's from the home. I've received incidents report, Lieutenant Colonel Kirai. Am I correct? Thank you. Yeah? Colonel Seteb. Or Colonel Seteb. That there's been killing of children recently in our communities, in our immediate communities, due to gang violence. And what happens is that the association of the death will then find itself in school because children of both gangs are in the same school. So this is a problem. It's a big problem. We don't even need to spend money to secure schools if our communities are doing what they're supposed to be doing to protect the school. Because a school is a development center for your kids to grow. Their future lies there. So there's no need, really, to even spend money. I'm not speaking this because I don't have an evidence to show you communities where schools are protected by them. Joburg West, that SOS, Raymond Mhlaba, is it correct? It's in Tsepiso. And if you know the community of Tsepiso, you know the challenges of that area. You know the challenges of that area. But that school is protected by the community. Nobody vandalizes that school. Nobody breaks into that school. Nobody tampers with the infrastructure of that school. Because the community in that area understands the value of that school. Because for them, that school is the only way out for their kids to go out and become better people. So we don't have to put money there. We know that the community is doing their work. I can name many schools across Gauteng and such. So I don't want to turn our schools into military camps. Honorable Adams, I agree, maybe perhaps metal detectors there and there, but really, when you bring metal detector, it means you are dealing with metal. Knives, guns, etc., machetes. I don't want that. Because a school is a development center. It's where a child grows. In fact, just to tell you, parents, why a child comes to school, it's for three things, HOD. A child comes to school, firstly, to meet and make friends. That's why a child comes to school. The first thing they do when they arrive at school, they want their friends. Secondly, is to learn. They know that you must go and learn. And thirdly, is to play. You missed a component of extracurricular activity. Is to play and participate in sports and all those things. That's why they come to school, children. Only for those three things. So if you can't guarantee their safety in those particular schools, they can't play because they're scared. So even a school leadership, they can't even conceive an extracurricular activity because they are worried just generally just to keep those kids for 5 hours and release them. So they're in survival mode. So these are some of the challenges that we've been seeing. We've picked up fights of gangs, which I've spoken to, and I still say, I blame the community here. I blame the parents because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, taking a keen interest in their children when they're coming to school. Even when you do parents' meeting, some parents don't come. In fact, majority of parents don't even come. I know some parents who the first time they've seen a report of their child is the last end of year report when they ask a question, did you pass or fail? That's the only time they know there's a report. But in between the whole year, they're not even there. They don't even ask, what is the performance of the child? Is the child going to school? What is happening? We've also have a challenge of conflicts of youth who are out of school, fighting with learners who are in school. We've had quite a number of incidences such as those, where children are not in school, but they are relatively almost the same age as those that are in school. They wait for them outside the school gate and attack our children. Colonel Sitebe. They wait for our kids outside the school gate and attack them. To a point where some incidents they kill them. Because I've had incidences in your area, Kajid, where they are killed by youth out of school, waiting for children just here at the gate. We've had incidences where some armed criminals have entered our schools to rob learners. And this is I'm putting on your doorstep, Colonel, the police, to rob learners and even educators. In fact, there was one discussion with one of my colleagues, one of the MEC was saying to me that in some areas in their province, gangs or criminals wait for teachers to get paid. On payday, they come into the school with what is this machine? Yoko. The swipe machine, yes. Thieves, criminals, they come with that Yoko machine to come hold them, to rob them, to swipe their salaries. I'm putting that at your doorstep. It's the duty of police. Theft of our school equipment, especially during holidays, bullying, fights between educators and learners. We've seen a couple of videos where a teacher was fighting with learners. It was in Johannesburg region at school, Rivali, where a learner was attacking a teacher. And I'm specific here. A learner attacking a teacher. Teachers don't come to school to come and attack children. Openly. A teacher doesn't wake up and say, today I'm going to attack that child and I'm going to fight with him or her. But learners, because of lack of discipline, they attack the teacher to a point where the teacher reaches breaking point. And by the time the video is there, you might find the teacher is the one now on top attacking. And then you assume that that teacher came to attack that child. And I have to tell you, now I'm protecting teachers because these are the backbone of the education system. Without teachers, there's no education, by the way. You must always remember that. There's no school without teachers. They are very important, including the learners, of course. But in this case, I'm speaking about educators that find themselves in compromised situations. Some learners, the lack of the ill discipline is even shocking. It's shocking. It makes me wonder that what is the parent doing? If the child is like this at school, at home, again, it takes us back to parental involvement. We've done quite a number of interventions as just to keep our schools safe. Firstly, the Adopt a Cop program. Colonel Setebe is not working because police are not doing their work in that program. It's not working. It's a good program. We want it to work, but it's not happening. Because I always ask schools, this one, is there a cop that is associated with the school? Majority of schools says no. It's not working. I've raised this with Provincial Commissioner MATOME. And I think there's a Deputy Kekana is the one who's responsible. That this program is not working. Not because it's not an important program. We need this program, but it's not there because the cops, the police are not doing what they're supposed to do. Just be there. Do you know the impact of visibility? You know it better. Just having a van here, especially those difficult schools, just park in the morning at the gate. If they are relaxed, police, they can go out their van, and if they're smoking, they smoke, but just be seen. The impact of that will be so enormous. Even those who are carrying weapons, want to take them into the school, they will not enter with them because they will see police there. I can tell you nobody wants to be arrested. They can act all, no one wants to go to jail. No one. Even those who are in jail don't want to be there. No one, especially our children. Just the visibility of a police officer will go a long way. And we've done research as a province, which gave us 245 schools that we identified as schools at risk. We say they're at risk because of the communities which they find themselves at. Because the school is a microcosm, as I've said. What happens in the schools is generally brought from outside. We identified 245 schools in our province in that condition, in that state. Out of that, we identified 75 that are in the extreme rate, extremely at high risk. Westbury, Eldos, Reche Park, Soshanguve, some in Amaskara. We're just in Tembisa. We identify those schools that are in the extreme rate. Now, if police can just work us with us on that 75, you borrow 75 vans in the morning, you borrow 75 vans after school. it will go a long way to get our schools right there. It's just 75. Those are schools at risks. Provincial government, collaboration with the wardens. I was saying to the Premier that the wardens, yes, they do help with the search and seizure, together with the police, etc. But what I know they are not security. They will not want to stay in their school the whole day, stuck at the gate. So they come in the morning, they do what they have to, and then they go. After some time, when they feel that everything stabilized, because obviously with the police they have to do other community protection work. We have patrollers that we have an agreement with the Department of Community Safety. However, what we have seen is that even patrollers need protection. No, these are our people that we know, our community, genuine community members who are interested in the safety of the communities. But they are not trained to do the work that we are putting them there to do. So when a criminal comes, Arewena, ujafatse mdala. Con. So the only thing we'll get is a report, Bakenical festere, batewa, bankadadege, batamaya. But you can't blame them because they're not trained. It's a deterrent. For us, they are deterrents. But we have them. We have them. We have an MOU with community safety for about 5,000 of them to be visible in our schools. And I have to say, some of them actually have gone beyond the call of duty, where we even lost one of them trying to protect a school who was killed. Because they're not trained for this thing. We then put security guards, private security, because we know that with private security, they will stay there. And that program has been relatively successful because we have received a report from some of the schools that since we deployed the security at our school, there's a bit of there's teaching and learning, there's stability, learners feel safer, educators feel safer at school because there's this security that is there. But it's not a sustainable intervention because it's not budgeted for, it's not sustainable, but it's a desperate move by GDE and also other, in fact, education departments across the country to stabilize our schools when they're in a dire state of conflict. It has worked. Kalabucha. Yes, Kalabucha was one also school which was very bad. Literally, we had a child in one of the schools here, Kalabucha, I think, where the child said, in a school, told the principal that mina ngifuna ukuba inkabi mina. Angifuni isikolo mina. Ngifuna ukuba inkabi. For those who know Inkabi is what? Inkabi is a hitman. The child said, I don't want school. I want to be a hitman. And he left. Kicked the gates at school, he just left. Just like that. But with this intervention, comprehensive intervention, we were able to stabilize schools in those areas. We've also picked up that we have a challenge with the SGB safety committees. The safety committees in the SGB, these are the critical cog that should get the school safety right. And I'm going to tell you now, parents, that these school safety committees, they don't attend training. We offer training, they don't come at all. And then you wonder what's happening with the school. It's because the parental component that you elected to lead this is not committed. They don't come for training. And with this training, they will also know what type of intervention they need to get the school right. To get schools right is not complex. It's not difficult. And this one I can put my head on the block. If you have a good principal, like our principal here, where is she? Yes. Our good principal. You will have a school like this. It's clean. You know teaching and learning is happening here. You know there's extracurricular activities taking place here. And it doesn't take a year to turn around a school. 2 months is more than enough to turn around a school. 6 months is a lot. I told some principal that if you want to discipline your learners, if you are saying gates close at 7:30, close the gate. Close the gate. First day you're going to have a problem. Tomorrow close at 7:30. There will be less who will be late. By end of the week, they will know that 7:30 gates close. They'll be on time. That's the first step. But if you don't close at 7:30, and you are a principal, you are late, and teachers are late, are waiting for you, they will not be disciplined at school. Because a principal is a manager. If a manager manages, the staff will work. And holding people accountable. Then you can deal with the other aspects. So, that's what we have seen. And we know that for a fact. And we do have an intervention around our principals so that they can start also being where we know we have a challenge. We've also picked up lastly, towards my conclusion, yes, Honorable Adams, I agree with you with regard to private scholar transport. We don't know these private scholar transports. And it's another big problem. You see our kids coming to school, there's loud music. There's my piano at 7 o'clock in the morning. You know, the child gets there, still dancing in their mind. They forgot that they're coming to school. They're dancing in their mind. I also see a lot of videos, HOD, of learners dancing. I'm hoping they're dancing during breaks because they're always trending. I don't know what time they dance, but they're dancing. So they dance in the morning, there's loud. We don't know if this person who's driving them got licenses, PDP. And here schools must take responsibility as well. We need to know who's bringing the children to school. The schools must begin to register. They should register the scholar transport driver. We'll be having the scholar transport IMBIZO as well later on. The reason we're having these IMBIZOs is not talk shops. We're trying to find solutions with stakeholders. That's what we're trying to do. It's not to say we are naive, we don't know, or oblivious about what is happening. We know what is happening, but we do feel that somehow let's also get another angle which can then collaboratively, we're able then to resolve the problems that are faced by our schools. That's why we're having these discussions. It's not talk shops, it's decisions that will be coming out and we'll be implementing them. I want our schools in Gauteng to be safe. Schools must be safe. A school must have proper infrastructure, well maintained. A school must be functioning. Proper teaching and learning must adequately take place. We find ourselves, I see this in townships in most of the case. In Model C schools, on weekends, they're playing sports. If you go to those schools, there's some sports activity taking place. But in the township, it's extra lessons. No, it's extra lessons on weekends. It's not normal, I think. I'm trying to understand, what are you doing during the week? If you want to teach our kids on Saturday, when our kids are supposed to be playing soccer, netball, rugby, whatever sporting code they should be doing, our kids are in extra classes. It's a problem. So, proper teaching and learning should be taking place during school hours. And also, most importantly, have a comprehensive extracurricular program. Every child, and I've instructed the HOD that our schools, by the end of the year, the last report, we might not have begun this year, but from next year, parents must know. We are going to write there in your report of your child. Your child, so and so, participated in this sport. Or your child, so and so, did not do anything the whole year. So that parents know that their child are not doing anything. And the schools will have a responsibility to make sure that every child does some form of extracurricular, whether it's sports, whether it's the creative side, dancing, singing, acting, but every child in our school must do something in a year to enhance and develop other interest and activity. So that will form part of the reports going forward so that parents know if their children are involved in something in schools. If they're not, you will know that there's a problem. And as a responsible parent, you'll go to the school and ask, why is my child not participating in sports? Then they'll have to explain, your child is like the MEC MATOME, can't play soccer. So we're going to put him to do acting or chess or something. But we need to have those. We have to move away from that period where we said, COVID has come and gone. We can't blame that there was COVID, it's over. We're not discussing COVID here. Life is back to normal, and our children we have a responsibility to make sure that our children understand and they enjoy their schooling career. Schools are here to produce doctors, lawyers, presidents, all the progressive people to turn our nation around. So let's make sure that we take them to that point. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It deserves another round of applause.